I hung up with the thing with Vendetta interviewing the Monarch because that really messes with my head somewhat.
We expected you to go through the proper channels and training.
Not just make a costume out of leggings and cardboard and immediately go after Dr. Venture.
That Purrick had it coming!
It is quite strange to see the Monarch being interrogated by his own adoptive father.
FlynnsArcade.
Hi, this is FlynnsArcade, and this is my video about the Venture Bros Season 3 premiere, Shadowman 9 and the Cradle of Destiny, with special reference to this book here. Before we start, please could you do me a solid and give the video a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and now let's go. Synopsis. The Monarch and Sheila are being interrogated by the Guild. Meanwhile, the henchmen are attempting to rebuild the damaged cocoon. Cultural references. The sugar cubes.
That was amazing. And why'd you change the music?
Pardon?
Listen, a man remembers what's on his car radio the first time he taps his future wife. That was not the song.
We couldn't afford the rights.
Minor was ready to sign, but Bjork's lawyers just would not budge.
The song playing whilst the couple enjoyed an intimate moment was actually by the Sugar Cubes, but the Council of 13 couldn't secure the rights to it. It's an inside joke about the struggles of Jackson and Doc when they were attempting to persuade the network to let them use the Rosala track for the Season 2 premiere. The song that's actually played in the Monarch Mobile is by a band called Jasper McVeigh, which is actually a musical side project consisting of Doc Hammer, Terence Fleming, the person who voiced Buzz Manstrong, and the brilliantly named musician Max van der Wolf.
This mean is gonna be tough. I got a heart like a beast. I feel the gas in my feet. This naked preacher will break the rest of.
The concept behind this project is a fictional recreation of the life of the glam rock musician Mark Bolan from T-Rex. So the fact that this scene is so loaded with references makes it obvious just how important this scene was to the series creators, and also because it really was a massive event in the lives of both the Monarch and Sheila, and it's treated with some real gravitas.
Queen Etheria?
Eyebrows. Wow. Okay, but I thought your mask was an aesthetic choice, but I can get used to
No.
this.
It's also quite funny too, but it's definitely treated with some gravitas. Gustaff Holt. Shout out to YouTuber M-Book, who informed me that the piece of music in this episode is Jupiter, Bringer of Joy by the English composer Gustaff Holt. This is a callback to the scene in Season 2 where Gary and 24 sing Mars, the Bringer of War, another piece by Gustaff Holt, which is part of the Planet Suite. This is a beautiful way to help illustrate the wholesome scene when the couple are reunited and the cocoon is being repaired. Betty Page.
Pin-up murderess Betty Rage!
Betty Page was a pin-up model and a Playboy centerfold in the 1950s, and her influence over popular culture is so vast it's impossible to quantify. It was quite exciting to see a reference to her in episodes of the Venture Brothers. Joseph in his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
The sea anemone, helicoptero, even Joseph and his amazing Technicolor Nightmare coat.
This is a musical by Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice. It was an incredibly popular stage show back in the 1990s and features recently disgraced TV star Philip Schofield in its leading role.
2, 3, 4. They are
Marky Post.
Roll the clip.
Unfortunately, we have no visual records of your time in college.
Really? Also, we're not gonna have to sit through hours of me abusing myself to Marky Post?
She was an actor in the 1980s, and she was best known for her roles in Night Court and The Fall Guy. Adobe Premiere.
Wait, did that video have a wipe?
Councilman 3 got Adobe Premiere.
Was it too showy? I thought it would make the scene more lively.
It's pretty funny to include a joke about editing software on a TV show, but I'm here for it. YouTube.
Oh man, if that shows up on YouTube, I'm serious. What kind of torture is this?
Yeah, we all know what YouTube is, but it was quite funny to see it referenced in this show. Jokes. There's a lot of cringe comedy in this episode because it revolves around the Monarch and Sheila being tormented with clips of her relationship with Phantom Limb, but the Monarch delivers some brilliant one-liners.
Past with the traitor Phantom Limb.
Yes, man. What do you want me to pull my tights off so you can jam it in deeper?
Does she know your past with him?
And Sheila delivers a brilliant line here in response to quite a hilarious situation.
This was once my curse, but now it is my blessing. Behold!
What happened to your legs?
What do you know of evil?
Why? You eviled your legs?
There's some nice physical comedy in this episode. I especially like this scene where the Monarch attempts to go to menace Doc's adventure, only to get battered by Mara, with Helper helping out.
Gaze upon the face of doom and cower before me! For I am... Come on! Ow! Ow! I would have taken him down then if Venture hadn't hired a private army of ex-Navy SEAL cyborg ninja witches to protect him. Also, my memory's a little foggy, but I'm pretty sure he had a fucking tank.
Yeah, and the fact he lies about it just really takes it to the next level, and I quite like the fact that Doc's Adventure's just quietly getting on with his work, completely unconcerned by the carnage behind him. Style. In a callback to the Season 2 premiere episode, where Hank and Dean were replaced in the title sequence by Rusty and JJ, the title sequence of this episode features Sheila and the Monarch, illustrating that this episode is mostly going to involve those two. The episode is all about the newly married couple, with the Venture family being reduced to background characters. The Council of 13 are introduced, and the interrogation by them gives the episode a real sense of foreboding.
Can't do this to us. Where's the Monarch?
You will see him soon enough. Only after the Guild of Calamitous Intent is satisfied. You know why you are here.
No clue! A few hours ago, I was in my floating escape bed, repeatedly consummating my marriage. And the next thing I know, your super creeps are blindfolding us and dragging us here to get shot at.
But thankfully, the episode ends on a really positive note, with the cocoon getting rebuilt by the henchmen and the various people who've been drafted in to help them. Character development. This is the first episode to include the Council of 13.
What is that? What are you doing?
I was just trying to sound intimidating.
Ah, yes. Go on.
The traitor Phantom Limb has controlled you from the very beginning, playing you
Silence!
Okay, you need to do that when she's talking. Oh, now I completely forgot what I was saying. Thanks.
Dragoon and Red Mantle are there. At this stage, they still have separate bodies, which was quite strange to see. Most noteworthy, though, is Vendetta, who is, as we now know, Mr. Fitzcarraldo, who was kind of the Monarch's dad. And so I don't really know how canon it was at this stage. I honestly don't know, but it is quite strange to see the Monarch being interrogated by his own adoptive father.
We expected you to go through the proper channels and training.
Not just make a costume out of leggings and cardboard and immediately go after Dr. Venture.
That prick had it coming!
that is really weird. Like, and you know, and it was like I remember watching it thinking, wow, that's really strange. The most interesting character development, though, involves Sheila and the Monarch. One of Sheila's main concerns throughout her relationship with the Monarch is that his obsession with Dr. Venture is more important to him than his relationship with her. Whereas in this episode, we see that that really isn't the case.
Now, Archie, I shall don the colours for love. As a henchman, she is forbidden fruit. But as the monarch, she is easy pickings. Tonight, I take what is loinfully mine.
He's been in love with her for a really long time, and it's really heartwarming to see this come out, especially because it doesn't come out because he wants her to know that. It comes up because he's just trying to defend himself because he's frightened of getting potentially executed by the guild. So that was really nice to see. And I also really liked the way that Sheila consistently defended the Monarch throughout the interrogation, which must have been a very terrifying thing for them to be involved with. But it was really nice to see them, you know, working together so well, especially because they're in separate rooms, but they were completely working in tandem together.
Clearly, Phantom Limb is responsible for this. He's the one who hid the Monarch's illicit activity from the guild. The Monarch, he's innocent of everything but ignorance.
And also, I always find the scene towards the end where the Council of 13 declares them villain and villainess. I always find that really moving. You know, it's one of the most wholesome moments in the Ventureverse, in my opinion.
Your trial is thus concluded. Now join hands. Monarch, Dr. Girlfriend, the Guild of Calamitous Intent hereby approves your application for duoship. I now pronounce you villain and villainous. You may kiss your queen.
I also particularly like the way it's immediately followed up with that amazing scene where the henchmen and the various wedding guests and Brock are spotted rebuilding the cocoon. It's just a really nice way to start off the season. Rating. I'm going to give this episode a 9 out of 10. I absolutely love it, but I'm going to talk now about why it doesn't get the perfect score. I know I promised not to mention this again in my episode about Showdown at Cremation Creek Part 2, but that thing with the bait and switch cliffhanger has to be addressed, and I really hope I don't have to mention it ever again. But because I reference the art book so closely when I make these videos, the whole chapter on this episode is mostly about the cliffhanger, and so it's like, well, I can't just let it go. I mean, as it is, like, you know, like I can see why Jackson and Doc made the decision to not have the storyline with Sheila's baby, and I'm really glad that they made it as well, because it would have been pretty bad if they'd have followed through with that, because it would have been very depressing, because when you think it was all quite glamorous when there was the love triangle with Sheila and Phantom Limb and the Monarch, but now Phantom Limb's run away, he's on the lam. Sheila and the Monarch are recently married. There's the amount of stress of that, of having it, and, you know, bringing a baby into that situation. I don't think it would have been a particularly entertaining thing to watch. I think it would have been just more upsetting than anything. And also, Sheila's like one of the most competent and sensible people in the show, so she would have had to have retired, because she wouldn't have wanted to raise a baby within that sort of universe, and so it would have meant she'd have had to have retired from the show. She wouldn't have been able to be Doc's girlfriend anymore. And also the Monarch might have had to have retired too, because, you know, if she's retired, then he won't have a number 2 anymore. So I think they really did make the right decision. It's just that, you know, back in 2008, this really preyed on my mind. And I remember when I first saw this episode, I was expecting to see this storyline being played out with Sheila's pregnancy, and it didn't happen, and I got really confused to think, look, am I just really dense? Have I just imagined this whole thing and this is where it's going? When I actually bought the art book, one of the first things I did when I got it was look up this episode just to find out whether I was right in my theories, and I was like, I I knew it basically when I saw it. So, you know, it has loomed over this episode quite a bit in the previous one, but ultimately, I think it was the right decision to decide to discontinue that storyline. And I learned as well, though, that because this wasn't the first episode that Jackson and Dot wrote for season 3, they actually started on, I think, episode 4. So by the time they've written a few episodes, they'd kind of forgotten about this abandoned storyline, which is why it got downplayed so much. But it's obviously really like preyed on it, and Jackson in particular's mind, because he's gone on about it a lot in the book. So yeah, it is a big deal. But thankfully, I don't need to think about it ever again. So let me know what you think. Do you really like this episode? Are you hung up about the cliffhanger thing? Are you hung up with the thing with Vendetta interviewing the Monarch? Because that really like messes with my head somewhat. You know, but I'm sure it wasn't canon, but I kind of hope it was. So, you know, please let me know what you think. If you don't have anything to add, please could you drop me a Go Team Venture or an Ignore Me or a Spanakopter, because apparently comments really help the algorithm. Please could you do me a massive favour and give the video a like if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm on a mission to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so I really do appreciate your support. If you're into the Venture Bros, please check out my playlist, because I've made loads of videos about this show, so you might enjoy those too. I upload videos every week, so unless anything comes up in the meantime, I'll see you next Sunday.